How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about BBIG. It ended up having a slight pullback in the market, but you know what? I see no problems whatsoever. Considering how much the market sold off on the day, I think it actually held itself up very well. We'll talk about it further inside this video. I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder, you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is a technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to be going on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information. The reason why this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis for BBIG. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at $2.99, being down 2.29%. On the low, it tested $2.96, and then on the high, testing $3.16. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 15.825 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 25.231 million shares. So you see right away we did have below average volume, and we had a slight pullback in the stock. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is a daily chart, you can see from the RSI down below, it is at 53.19. And then when we take a look at our moving averages here on the chart, we are below the 200-day, but we are above the 21-day EMA as well as the 50-day, and we did close just below the 100-day. It is at $3.02, and we closed at $2.99. So going into tomorrow, we did have a slight pullback, but if we can continue to consolidate above the 21-day EMA, BBIG is going to continue to show some strength. And what that level looks like is above $2.88. As far as for the low of the day, we tested at $2.96. And it has been trading in a fairly tight range, especially when we take into consideration 290 and is going as far up as to around 330. And of course, we do have a gap that needs to be filled to the downside, which is right around 258, but it hasn't been able to fill in that gap as of yet. It is continuing to show strength. So going into tomorrow, if we have the markets pushing up, then I want to see if BBIG can break through this high of the day at 316 to see if we can make a move getting here to around 338. That would be a really good look, and if we have more buyers stepping in, that's where I want to see the stock, see if it can get to around $3.60. If we have a pullback now, like I was saying previously, support has been very strong above the 21-day EMA, but if we were going to break through it, you could see back here on the 28th of March, we got down to 278, but again, we bounced right off the 21-day EMA. So let's see if it continues to have some strength as this week progresses. Let's move on to the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for BBIG. Scrolling down further on the page, green rows indicate new positions, while red rows indicate closed positions. So we're going to take a look at the recent filings for April the 5th. So we don't have any new or closed positions. We just have some changes, all coming from Subsequent International Group. And you can see that they went in with calls and as well as puts. As far as for calls, the value of shares being at just over 4.82 million. And as far as for their puts now, value of shares is at 809,800. And when we take a look at the value change, decrease the position by 65.62%, and then as far as 86.63%. And then you can see as far as for their share only position being reduced by 5.55%. Now, when we take a look at the short interest, the off-exchange short volume ratio is at 50.31%, and then for the off-exchange short volume, it is just over 5.14 million shares. Scrolling down further on the page, the short shares availability is at 90,000, updated 20 minutes ago, and then for the short ball fee rate, it is at 65.33%, and as far as for the max of the day, it was at 107.65%. Now, when we take a look at the history of the short volume, you can see for the close of the first, it was at 54.33, and then for the close of the fourth being at 50.31. So what this shows us BBIG does continue to have short squeeze potential. Now let's move on to the order flow distribution.
Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for BBIG. So we see on the inflow, it is at 9.25 million. And then on the outflow, it's at 11.56 million. So we ended up having an outflow day. Taking a look at the breakdown, on the large, it was 0.41. On the medium, it was 6.25. And then on the small, it was 2.59. Taking a look at the outflow side, you can see on the large, it was 1.85. On the medium, it was 6.47. And then on the small, it was 3.24. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you can see for today, April the 5th, we ended up having a negative outflow of 1.43 million. Analyzing the numbers even further for the small scale orders that tends to represent the retail side, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at the large, which represent whales, institutions, and funds, we had more selling than we had buying. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 8.52%. So this is not too bad for a volatile stock like BBIG, and it's part of the reasons why you want to keep a very close eye on this play, because we have seen when the market is showing strength, then we know BBIG can give us a pretty decent day, and it has been holding support above the gap that we see from the downside. I'll talk about it further inside of the final thoughts, so let's get into it right now. So for my final thoughts for BBIG, when it comes to the price action, it has been trading in a fairly tight range. And what this range looks like is between $2.89 and as well as $3.25. So knowing that it's staying within this range, the moment that it breaks out, I'm looking forward to seeing if BBIG can get to at least to around $3.60 so we can make that move to $3.81 and then seeing we can get to $4. Again, that is the best case scenario here. If it decides to continue to consolidate, I am perfectly fine with that. Even a pullback going to $2.80 or even in the $2.70 range, this is not too bad either. It still shows that BBIG is holding up, but we can't ignore the fact there is a gap to the downside around $2.58. So I felt if it ended up breaking through that $2.70 level, then there's a good chance it will fill in that gap. But for now, it is showing that strength and is continuing to hold up above $2.90 and that range of being the top at $3.25. So again, we want to look for that break above 325. This is very crucial. And the moment we can get past 325, then we have 345, then 360. Add this to your homework if you're thinking about trading this play, because I say before you take any trade, you need to have a solid game plan. Also, when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership, we do see some hedging that is going on, but there is some interest in regards to institutions buying up shares. And then when we took a look at the short interest information, it does continue to have short squeeze potential. Plus, on top of that, as far as for the short borrow fee, as far as for the latest, yes, it was around the 63% range, but it got as high as over 100%. So this is why BBIG is on a lot of traders' radars. The moment we can get above $3, that's where I can see volume really picking up in this play. And we know volume is what it thrives on. We need to have that buying pressure. And I feel that we need to have a strong day in the market for that to actually happen. We also can't forget the fact that we do have the Fed minutes that are going to be coming out on Wednesday. And this could have a very big impact. If the market sells off big time like we saw today, then BBIG could have a further pullback and actually test those levels like we spoke about. So that's why I said add that to your homework and as well as your due diligence. But if we end up getting information that the market expects, then I'm going to be looking forward to seeing a strong run up. And I want to see it from BBIG. So let's see how the stock performs going into tomorrow. I will continue to keep you guys inside of the loop and we'll be talking real soon.